You think getting a tattoo is good behavior? I don't care about it, but it's not good behavior. Hello and welcome to REKT Podcast. I am Bunchu alongside my esteemed colleague and co-host Chamber. Chamber, how you doing, buddy?
Doing pretty good, man. Just chilling out here at the home office for possibly, the last time in a while.
We have so much personal news to share today. It is
I have a little bit of news. You got some good news. You got some stories to tell.
But let's just start it right there. You go with your personal news.
So I was offered a position yesterday with a cannabis company, and I am at a 10 out of 10 right now on the happiness scale with regards to that. Yes, I've been. It's been almost a year to the day. That I was released from my previous position, and I've taken my time, and as fate would have it, a cannabis company reached out to me a couple of weeks ago, and we've been in the process for doing interviews and all that stuff, and finally got the approval yesterday, and yeah, it's fucking great. I can't wrap my head around it.
You have no idea, like. I know you're happy, but I am elated for you. It is. I am so genuinely happy and excited for you because this couldn't be a better job for you. I can't
think of a better job.
Right, and it's like. I've been preaching, I feel like the last couple maybe months on this show is like patience with crypto, patience with your, positions, patience all over the place. And, you don't have to, it's been a year, right? And you were in a nice position where you didn't have to go rush into finding something different. And you were patient and patience paid off. And so I'm very happy for you. It was for me, working for Sam Adams, that was like my dream job for so long, and then I got moneyed out of that job because I needed to make more money, and there just wasn't going to happen there. But so now with this, and you were just telling me it's a really, really good offer. There's nothing that could be more fitting for you.
Oh no, man, it was good offer, tons of room for upward. Promotions and stuff like that.
Yeah, because they're, fairly new industry, right? So fairly new company.
The industry is only 3 years old in Canada.
Right.
So basically, anyone with the most seniority has at the very most 3 years of experience.
And you're like, I've been smoking weed for way longer than that. We were just joking to him about it before the show that it was a cosmic gumbo.
Sure is. It sure is. You might not get a Christmas present, but I don't care about it. But it's not good behavior.
Only the true I think you should leave fans will get that one. You got to drop the nuggets in there sometimes.
I love it, but it's really good. And to be honest with you, I was deep in with another company as well for a bigger position in an industry that wasn't. It wasn't as fun. It was.
Is this similar to your old industry?
Similar to my old industry, yeah. But just talking with it just seemed like the level of stress that I was going to be if I had taken this job. I was getting panic attacks just thinking about it. I'm like, fuck, I can't.
Oh, homie, don't need that. You don't need that. No, nobody got time for that.
It was I can do it. You know what I mean? I can ramp up to 100. And me working.
But you've been off for a year. You don't need that stress anymore.
I don't need to
work this job. You'll be very, very good at it, and it'll probably be relatively stress free. And if it is stressful, you just get high on your own supply and you call it a day.
That's it. No, but literally everybody that I've spoken to at the company, exactly what you think. It's just very chill, very
Is
laid
it like
back.
crunchy chill though, or is
No,
it
like just like me. Just like imagine a bunch of
oh
me's
man,
working.
a bunch of yous.
Yeah, just a
Wow.
bunch of me's. Like everybody, I'm like, huh. And I think they recognize that because the gentleman I was talking with today, he's like, yep. He's like, we just saw, that you'd be like, this is you're kind of like one of our types. And I'm like, yes, I am.
I'm very happy for you because there was a time here where I feel like your self confidence and your had dwindled a tad.
All time low, buddy. 97%.
I was gonna say, you told me a joke about what you said to your sister yesterday.
I was talking to my sister. I said, I try to keep a positive attitude, but I said, my sister and the one that I talked to.
Yeah, the good sister, not the Kevin sister.
I said, I'm gonna be honest. I said my confidence was really shook over the last year. It was at an all-time low of like 97%, which is like suicidal level.
Right for you, yes, yeah.
But I said after yesterday, I'm back at 100 as per usual. So it was good. I mean, yeah, just like a big, not a big weight necessarily, but just. I could feel my overall, sense of well-being go up. You know what I mean? Just like,
sure.
Just chill. I've just chilled out a little bit more now.
Yeah, that's awesome. I'm pumped for you. So, that means the show's over, though.
Yeah, no, it's done. If you haven't figured this out by now,
show's over. So I have the opposite news.
Yeah,
we haven't done this show in 2 weeks, and in the past, in the time that you've gotten a job, I decided to go the other way, and I said, "F it. Now's the time. I'm gonna go do this stuff full time, whether that's the podcast stuff, dGEN stuff, all the other things I got going on." And so I am now jobless, I guess.
No, that's not the way. It's you are now full-time crypto.
Yeah, I didn't want to say that because that is a top signal. If
Kiss of death.
Right, that's the top signal, right? So it's funny because part of what's allowed me to do that is like the income I'm earning with like Axie Infinity and everything like that. And we were talking last week, and I'm like, yeah, I did it. Just like gonna put in my resignation, and then the servers went down
immediately
for weeks, and I'm like, well, that was the top signal. NGMI not gonna make it.
It could have been timed better. Like it was immediately after,
like literally hours after that show. It was ridiculous. But so yeah, lots of exciting personal news for us. So, I mean, this show we skipped last week, but we have a lot of bantery stuff to cover. So I was actually invited to I guess I would call it a crypto VC, like venture capital crypto guy meetup this past week. It was Tuesday through Thursday, and like that's how rich these guys are. They just party on the weekdays.
Yeah, they don't care. They don't wait for Friday.
Right. They're like, it doesn't matter what day of the week it is, right? So, and I was the poorest and dumbest person there. That's
the room I like to be in.
By orders of magnitude, right? Like I was hanging out, rubbing elbows with guys that are stratospheres above me, but it was a great time, super fun, made a lot of connections. Ja Rule was there, so got to hang out with Ja Rule. He was the grill master Tuesday night and decided he was going to grill us all dinner. You've seen that video. That was pretty good.
So, my wife could not get over that, by the way. Like she was like,
she's like, of course Bunchu's hanging out with Ja Rule. What?
Of course he is. Did you see you sent me a picture of him smiling and having fun, and then I don't know if you got the picture of me that I sent you back where I was alone in a dark room smoking joints by myself.
I did. I wish you could have been there with us. It was a good time, but we're gonna have to get you to the States for NFT NYC, I think.
I think that's the one. I think
that's probably the time. It's in November, plenty of time to come, and maybe we could do a little podcast meetup. We could host a little thing at a bar. We could do something like that. That would be a lot of fun. A lot of people give. A lot of people give. But so part of what I thought was the best part of this for us and this show was one of the guys that was there. It was Mike Dudas. And Mike Dudas, for those of you who may not know, is the founder of The Block.
Right.
Like the Block.
Yeah, like the Block
Crypto. Like the Block Crypto. Like the one we use every show for 3 years for news. Like that one. And so, just shooting the shit with him. And
this is by far the best part of the story.
Yeah.
Drum rule, whatever. This is the best part.
And I go, Mike, I'm like, Mike, I got to tell you something. We appreciate all the stuff you've done with The Block. We use it for our podcast every week for like the last 3 years. So pretty awesome. And I go, what's the deal with Yogita Khatri? And he goes, no. And I'm like, yeah, it's like a running joke on our show that we are such huge Yogita fanboys. And he's like, dude, she is the absolute best. And
it does not shock me.
I'm like, it doesn't shock me at all. We always end up with her articles. And I'm like, so what are the odds that maybe you'd be able to get her on our show? And he's like, I'll do it. I'll make it happen. He's like, she would probably be honored to come on. And I'm like, well, let's check that right there. Probably not. But he's like, yeah, email me. I'll make it happen. And I was like, I couldn't believe it. It was the perfect thing. All of these years of using The Block and reading Yogita Khatri articles finally culminated in me meeting Mike Dudas and just being like, dude, We're Yogita fanboys. Hook us up.
Fucking cosmic gumbo right there.
Cosmic. They always joke about it being a cosmic gumbo. Oh man. So that was my week. So I've had a very, very interesting week. So and we are now officially, this show is part of the dGEN Network. So that launched last Friday as well, which I don't think we've talked too much about on this show because we skipped last week. That's partially why we had to do all the launch stuff for that. But dGEN, dGEN .network. You can find all our shows there now. You can find articles on crypto and NFT. We even have some of our very own Telegram patrons.
Oh, yeah, like
our own people, like our own crew that we've, built relationships with over the years in our Telegram. So 5 a.m. is writing articles over there for us. JP Kaz. Anybody else?
Stacking Toshis.
Oh, Stacking Toshis. So Chambers writing articles for us also. All the real heavy hitters that you want to see over there.
So we got REKT Podcast. Got their fingerprints all over this one.
Yeah, we do. We have it's a cosmic gumbo.
We run deep.
It's a cosmic gumbo over there. So that is all of the things we got going on. So if you like this podcast and you like hanging out in our Telegram, come over, hang out in dGEN. We're actually going to have a Discord there. And somebody sent me, I think it was 5 a.m., sent me a bot the other day that will actually put all of our Discord or tie our Discord into the Telegram. So like in the REKT podcast channel on Discord, we can kind of see both. So we should probably merge over to that Discord at some point because it is going to be a poppin', happening spot. You'll get news, you'll get drop info, you'll get articles, you'll get
it is fun,
constant convo, and we haven't even really opened it up to like the public yet. So
yeah. If you're on Discord already and you know how to use it and you enjoy being on there, I think you'll really enjoy it.
We should probably just drop a link in the show.
Yeah, it'll be in the show notes. It'll be in the show notes for sure.
Yeah, so dGEN.network is where we're at now, and it's built by your boys. So come help us out. Come check us out. Give us a little click action over there.
It's really like, honestly, I think you'll be shocked. You'll be like, these dudes,
I love that that's how you describe it, because we have just set expectations for ourselves so goddamn low that it's like, oh yeah, people probably don't think we're capable of something decent like this.
Like, you'll be shocked. We're like, what? No, it's impossible.
You're like, who did this for them?
Right. I mean, we had a dev do it for us, but
Dev is dead.
Dev is dead. Yeah, but I mean, we have a ton of great contributors that are putting together great articles. Like basically
all. Write any articles?
I can't. I can barely put out a tweet without a fucking spelling mistake. Come on. I've been reading. I think I've read every single one that's gone through dGEN so far. I think we've put up about 20 articles already. So I like reading, and I like to punch up stuff. So I kind of work with, just to make things a little more SEO friendly, that kind of stuff. But I like to help out. So I probably won't write anything myself. You write good, funny stuff. It's not my game.
Fair enough. That basically no one would want to read what you have to say,
or could read. So do,
so do, America. All right, let's enough of our personal news here. Let's get into some market stuff. Again, we're going to start every week the same now. What are you feeling about the market currently?
Like, we had, people were losing their shit a couple of days ago.
Yeah, Sky was falling.
Sky was falling. Then I look at it, I'm like, it's not really falling. It hits support, it hits support at about 29.8, like it's been doing, and then it bounced up, and it's kind of like Bitcoin. I'm just talking about Bitcoin specifically here, but it's kind of caught between that 29.8 and that 33.3 range. We're at 32.4 right now, somewhere in there. So I see it kind of bouncing in between those two levels of support and resistance. We could see some more downfall, though. I mean, I would say I'm 60%. I'd say I'm on this. I'd say 60-40 that we go down below 29.8, though.
You think it's gonna break that?
I think so. I'm just not seeing. I might be wrong. Probably wrong, but I don't know. I don't see positive momentum, like, to get to recapture, like, 42. Like, that's where we would need to get, really.
I mean, that's like it seems so far away.
Yeah, like 42 is where we would need to get to, like.
But like, I haven't even seen us break 35.
We haven't. We haven't broke 35 since, what day is that? Since July 4th.
So do you? Wow, really? That long? I guess that's not that long ago.
Crypto time, it's long.
Yeah, I guess.
But I mean, it was quick. It was 35, and then back down to 33, and then it broke down to 29.
So we kind of always talk about basically life or death here, right? It's either breaking out and we're going to the moon, or we're going to be sitting here on the line for soup somewhere, at it being 10K again, right? But what are the odds that this thing just kind of range bounds for a year in this area?
I don't think
that's possible.
I mean, it's possible. I don't think a year. I don't think a year. To stay in the same range. I think within that time, like maybe 3 months, but even that seems like a fairly long time. I think within the next 3 months, what does that put us? Like August, September, October. Yeah. So by the end of Q3, beginning of Q4, I could see a down. Like, I think maybe Q3 we see some lower lows, like maybe all the way down to 20. And then Q4 is usually a good month for Bitcoin. So I could see that, maybe restarting the trend, and then we build our way back up to, I don't know, somewhere. But I could see Q3 maybe being that, ranging, and then maybe quick dips, some knife catching down to 20K. The more this goes on, the less I'm thinking we get below 20K. I feel like if we were going, we would be there by now.
Yeah, typically we see these like big quick.
Yeah, so like I could see a quick one down to 20 that gets bought up, and then maybe that signals the local bottom. We would talk about local tops all the time. Maybe that signals the local bottom, and then we make our higher highs, and we kind of, you know, from that 20K, make our higher highs and start kind of, you know, shifting the trend back to bullish, and then, you know, hopefully capture all-time highs. You know what I mean?
I would love that.
And honestly, at this level, like I'm always trying to equate it to like what's happened in the past. So like what's 32K? You know what I mean? What's 30K? Is that the same as like 10 to 12K before? And if 10 to 12K is the same as before, or like, you know, what's 8K? You know, because we had like 10, 12K we were ranging in for a while back in, you know, a couple years ago. And then it was like 8K for a bit. And then we saw that big plunge to like, you know, like high 3s, low 4s. You know what I'm saying? And then took off. So I try to equate the numbers. So like, is 32 the same as, you know, 8 to 10 or 10 to 12? And then is 20 the third? Like, I think like 12K is the 3K. I think 20K is the 8K, and I think 32K is like the 10K. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. Or like, you know, somewhere in there. But I'm, you know, again, this is
that makes sense.
If you're taking my advice, you're fucked. But I just try to equate, because that's what we saw, right? Like, there are levels of support and resistance, like major ones that we saw in, you know, 2018, 2019. And we're just trying to find those, because I mean, we've put in now enough time between, you know, February and now that we can really see where, you know, the big supports are and the big resistances are.
Yeah, I think you're totally spot on there. So that's interesting. I like what's your fear index at?
Like I'm not like, again, I think just because of like what we've gone through in the past, like my fear is not like high, but if it was my first time, my fear might be high that we were going lower. So like I said before, like have some, you know, maybe get out, take some of your position out, keep it in Tether or keep it in USDC, and just wait. Like I have some money, you know, set aside for those big dips, and hopefully buy them up, right?
Yeah.
So don't. I mean. Financial advice, whatever. I hear so many people say this is not financial advice.
You're just
financial advice. Okay,
financial advice.
Don't be all in. In Bitcoin and Ethereum. You know, it could work out for you, but it's also probably a good idea to have some of that position
cash.
in you know, good old cash. Yeah. So. Yeah, again, just in case.
By the way, a little speaking of the cash piece, I was opened up to some interesting information about some of these stable coins this week.
What do you got?
Meetup. We could talk about it. Again, this is not a paid shill or anything of that nature, but so. I was talking about Mike Dudas before. Mm-hmm. His other job is he works for Paxos, right?
Okay,
so
yeah.
You're familiar with Paxos?
Like PAX, like PAX?
Right. Yeah, Paxos Global. And so they actually, while we were there, they put out an article on CoinDesk that basically shots fired at USDC and Tether, essentially. So Paxos came out and revealed all of their assets that back their stablecoin. Mm-hmm. And in doing so, they also put out the assets that back USDC and Tether. And basically, no real surprise, because I feel like we've always kind of knew these things, especially about Tether. But their reserves are relatively illiquid, right? So like Paxos here, 96% cash and cash equivalents, 4% US Treasury bills. So Paxos is a bank, right?
There you go. This is good info right here.
Yeah. So USDC reserves 61% cash and cash equivalents, 13% Yankee CDs, 0.2% municipal bonds, 5% corporate bonds, 9% commercial paper, 12% U.S. Treasuries. So
Yankee
when you think
CDs? What's a...
I think it's Daddy Yankee CDs. They own 13%. They just bought up Daddy Yankee CDs.
This is amazing. I don't know what that is, but I got to get in.
But so essentially, the important thing is 61% cash and cash equivalent, right? So when they're talking about illiquid, the rest of it is built up of things that aren't. If everybody tried to cash out today, they essentially could not, right? Tether reserves, what's your guess in commercial paper, which is essentially the same cash and cash equivalents? What's your guess?
I have to double check what I'm holding. I hope I don't have Tether. I think I have USDC.
I was in USDC actually, and I still am at the time for the time being. But
this is good information. I don't know. 15%?
49.6% commercial paper, 18.4% fiduciary deposits, 1.6% other investments, including in digital tokens, 2.2% treasury bills, 2.7% reverse repo notes. I don't know what that is. This is more financial stuff than
right.
2.9% cash, 10% corporate bonds, funds, and precious metals, 12.5% secured loans.
That seems, honestly, again, I'm not a this is not financial information because I don't know what I'm talking about. That sounds, even at the very worst one of the three that you just mentioned, it sounds better than a typical bank, because I'm pretty sure a typical bank only has like a 10% reserve in all the money that they have.
But your money's guaranteed, right? Like,
is it?
Well, yeah. So like the FDIC guarantees your deposits up to $250,000 or whatever, right? So in your bank account. So if they're essentially to protect the run on banks that we saw in like the Great Depression, right? So that's why that's there. That's what the FDIC does. But these, Tether and USDC are technically unregulated stablecoins, right?
Right.
So they're backed substantially here by more corporate debt obligations.
And I don't know enough about this, but I carry most of my like my dollar pegs. I think all of them are on FTX. So I don't know what, I feel safe enough on FTX, like even using their, you know what I mean?
Yep.
So I don't know what, like it says like US dollars, but I think it's USDC, but I'm not 100% sure which one they specifically use, because I think they combine all of them. So if you have more than one, it's all combined together on that platform. But I should probably do a little bit more research into that.
So they're technically fully backed, but what this actually means in terms of how they have the illiquidity piece, right?
Right.
Really, that's the risk. Saying if everybody wanted to swap their cash out today for whatever reason, say there's a black swan event, the way USDC and Tether are set up, that would cause illiquidity risk, right? Because their investments that we just went through have maturities and they're potentially several years long, right? So they're not cash.
No, that makes sense.
Equivalent, right? So that's interesting, right? So we've talked, I feel like we've been having this stablecoin conversation for years, right? About Tether, FUD and all this stuff. But now when you see all these things actually released, it's interesting. So does it make them less safe just day to day? Maybe not. But if you're going to park your money there, you need to know the risk, right?
Right.
So, and you're dealing with potentially tens of thousands, potentially hundreds of thousands of dollars for some people, potentially millions of dollars for some traders that are trading with gigantic size that often go to cash, right? So and go to these stable coins. So that's interesting. So that was something that I learned because he was literally putting out this CoinDesk article while we were there.
That's awesome.
And he's like, shots are being fired today. I'm like, oh, this is it. But it's interesting. So it's like something I never really knew. And,
my wife was so impressed with you, quitting your job to go full time. And then, like a couple of days later, you're rubbing elbows.
Well,
on
the
Inner Circle.
What I told these guys, which is actually technically true, was that was not a coincidence, right? So, like, I got invited to this thing about a month ago, and all of it was leading up to me wanting to do this, and I actually had real work obligations for travel that I would have had to do, right? So like I should have been in Pittsburgh doing some meeting, and I'm like, if I'm going to do this, this is the time because I should take advantage of this opportunity.
Absolutely,
right? So I was joking around with the guys on Wednesday night, and I was like, they're like, oh yeah, so what'd you do? I'm like, well, I actually quit my job to be here. And they're like, what?
Like, that seems irresponsible. Ja Rule, that seems irresponsible, bro.
Yeah, Ja Rule was like, man, you're an idiot. Jeez. But awesome. Yeah, it was really funny.
But man, like, I get credit from some of my family members for taking risks and thinking outside of the box. Usually my mother-in-law, she's very enamored with what we do and little things that she hears, and she's very very proud of some of the just outside the box and really kind of taking little risks here and there and bigger risks sometimes. And we forget, like you and me, we'll, you even more so than me. Like I feel like you're ahead of me with risk taking, I would say.
That's probably not a good thing.
But in a good way. Like, but there are so few people that feel comfortable even taking, minimal risks, let alone like quitting your job and like diving deep in. So obviously some people aren't programmed for that. You're the type of person that's gonna like, I know how you work. I have friends that if they did the exact same thing, we'd be having an intervention right now, blasting shots in the air. But
I feel like most of our audience will relate to this piece because, this idea of why we're in crypto is mostly financial, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
We want to have this financial freedom. And so I think the biggest thing that kills people is momentum, right? Like momentum meaning if there's so many people, myself included, that do things just because they're doing them already, right? So whether that's a shitty job that you hate or whether it's a relationship that you're in and it's just the same thing, you just
I hope my wife isn't listening.
But I was stuck in one of those situations for the longest time as well, like from the relationship standpoint. And it's like, it just felt like, you're just doing it because you're already doing it. And,
right, absolutely.
And it might be making you miserable. And I'm just like, look, if I had built enough of what I wanted to do to make the risk worth taking, and my opinion is if I fail, the job market will be there.
Always be jobs.
You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
Like there will be a job when I go back. But my original goal here is, I keep telling my wife, I'm just like, no, I told you so. It's like, that's my main goal. Nobody is going to get to tell me, I told you shouldn't have done that. That's that.
Has anybody said that?
Well, so.
Because like, I'm a pretty good judge of like whether a decision is good or not. And for a lot of people, maybe this decision would not be good. But
sure.
Like, I have zero worry when it comes to you. Like it does. I'm not like, I'm like, no, it's gonna be fine.
Yeah, I appreciate that.
It's gonna be better than fine.
Well, my mom does not want me to do it.
Of course she doesn't. She's your mom.
She actually, my parents don't even really know yet. So, so my dad knows it's coming. They didn't know it was coming.
I love
right
it
now, but I figured I would gain some momentum, and then just show up one day and be like, oh yeah, I haven't worked that job in a month.
That would be great. Like, that's ideal.
So so it's gonna be a fun little adventure here. But
that's exactly it. I think that's an adventure. I mean, like people forget, we're all gonna fucking die one day. Okay, like this is not forever. Like, fucking take a fucking shot once in a while.
But you know what? It's funny though, because like you, on the opposite hand, you've been without a job for a year and
thriving,
and right, well, and thriving. But like for me, I'm sitting here like, oh man, that's the dream. Like that's what I want to do. I want to do my own thing. And
right.
You're like, I can't wait to go get a job.
Yeah, like my dream is, I don't know, my dream is like having something like, and I think this is ideally, I think this is what it's going to be happening, is having something to do on a daily, you know what I mean? Just something to do that's fun, that I enjoy doing. And then, crypto and stuff being the icing on the cake, and ideally have a ton of icing. And then get to a point where...
Dude, you love icing.
I fucking love icing. But get to a point where, you know what I mean? Where I know 100% that I don't need to work anymore. Do you know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
Like I'm like, oh, okay, I fucking don't need to work at all. And then maybe make that decision down the road. But, I mean, I probably don't right now. Like right now I could say, like, I probably don't need to work.
All I wanted was...
I don't know I don't need to work.
All I wanted was my work to be something I liked,
Right.
Like, that's all I wanted, and it wasn't the case.
Well, that's a huge difference too, right? Like this, like my new job is going to be like it's going to be a fucking joy,
right? Like if you were going to go back and do the same thing you were doing,
probably not ideal.
In 6 months, you might be like, "What did I do?"
Yeah, I made a horrible decision.
Yeah, you know what I mean? But anyway, should we go through a couple more of these news stories?
I agree. Yeah, I think we should.
All right, let's finally 40 fucking minutes in here. Let's get to the news. So we talked stablecoins today. Like we're a full on crypto podcast again. Where did that happen?
I love it.
What article are you starting with here?
I'm gonna start with the weird. I don't know if this guy's weirder than Elon Musk or not, but I'm gonna start with Jack. All these billionaires, it seems strange to me.
If you ever become a billionaire, you're going to be strange as hell.
Oh, I'm already strange. Just people don't understand that I'm strange yet. But yeah, these guys are fucking weirdos. So this is from, obviously, Yogita. Shout out Yogita. I'm going to tag you in this episode as well. So I hope you listen.
You got to tag Yogita and Dudis.
Yeah, well, I got Dudis already written down here, but obviously Yogita's getting tagged as well. Twitter CEO Jack Dorsey has said that Bitcoin will be a, quote, big part of the company's future. This is the first time Dorsey has publicly spoken in such depth about how the world's largest cryptocurrency could be integrated into Twitter's products. On Twitter's second quarter 2021 earnings conference call on Thursday, Dorsey said Bitcoin is the, quote, best candidate to become the native currency of the internet. And that it will mean that, quote, people and companies can freely trade goods and services anywhere on the planet. If the internet has a native currency, a global currency, we are able to move so much faster with products such as super follows, commerce, subscriptions, tip jar, and we can reach every single person on the planet because of that, instead of going down market by market approach, Dorsey explained. He went on to say, I think this is a big part of our future. I think there is a lot of innovation above just currency to be had, especially as we think about decentralizing social media, which we've talked about before, and providing more economic incentive. So I think it's hugely important to Twitter and to Twitter shareholders that we continue to look at the space and invest aggressively in it, he added. So Dorsey went on to say that Twitter is not alone to think in that direction. He gave an example of Facebook and its crypto project Diem, formerly Libra. Remember when we used to talk about Libra?
Man, what the hell happened to Libra?
It's now Diem.
Is it?
Yeah. So wow. I'm assuming they took the Carpe. So just don't seize it. It's just the day.
Just the day.
Just the day part. Saying, quote, there's an obvious need for this and appreciation for it. And I think that an open standard that's native to the internet is the right way to go, which is why my focus and our focus eventually will be on Bitcoin. Bitcoin enables speed, more innovation, and opens up entirely new use cases, according to Dorsey. So this is...
Didn't Elon tweet about ETH yesterday?
Fuck Elon. Yeah, I think there's. Let's see here. I think there's So Bitcoin reminds Dorsey that of the early internet. He said in the recent B Word conference alongside Tesla's CEO Elon Musk, it's deeply principled, it's weird as hell, and it's always evolving. It just reminds me of the internet as a kid. So I'm not sure what the tweet from Elon was. Do you remember?
Which? The one that I'm not sure which one he's referring to there.
But yeah, so I don't know. If I mean, obviously Twitter, like Jack and, you know, whatever his name is over at Facebook, and Elon.
Zuckerberg.
Zuckerberg. Speaking of Zuckerberg, we never talked about, did you see that video of him on July 4th?
No.
Like,
surfing
whatever that weird thing was, and he's holding the flag, like,
yep.
Wild stuff.
Great.
Wild stuff.
Great.
Just wild. And it looked dope.
This sure did, but it's just like,
it's so weird though. At the same time.
It's just like, oh, hey Siri, show me the thing I would never think I'd see today, and then that's what pops up.
Right. Well, it reminds me of that. That GIF of like the guy in the storm holding the flag, and he's like rocking out. That's what it reminded me of. Just the the Zuckerberg version. So I think this is pretty big news, obviously, and the more positive Bitcoin news, the more Bitcoin gets integrated into social media. Obviously, social media being a huge part of literally everybody's day. All 7 billion of us for the most part. So this is good. I mean, this is why I'm not overly scared of the market. I think it's going to do what it does, but at the end of the day,
right,
Bitcoin.
Like when you think about what that means, right? Where you're not scared of the market, it's because the industry as a whole is not fucking going anywhere.
No, exactly.
Like this is just getting more and more ingrained in everything that we're doing every single day. And I mean, there's too many big players now that are recognizing what, luckily we've seen since 2017 and what people have been seeing since 2013 and things like that, and it's just not going anywhere, right? So if it's $30,000 today and $20,000 tomorrow, eventually
there's no doubt in my mind we're going to see a new all-time high
for sure.
Like there's no
at
doubt.
some point in 2018, 2019, I really questioned it, but I don't feel that way anymore.
Yeah, like we're gonna have a new all-time. Like the market's gonna do what it's gonna do, and then after a while, it'll do. I mean, I'd have to pull up a gold chart, but like look at a gold chart. Look at a more traditional market, and it'll probably start doing that after a while. You know what I mean? Not the huge fluctuations we've been seeing, but it'll start to stabilize some, and you're gonna have some. You're gonna have some up years, you're gonna have some down years, but overall, Bitcoin will stabilize at a higher point than it is right now. I mean, there's no doubt.
It's it'll do what a gold chart does, which is give Peter Schiff a boner. Eventually, Bitcoin will do the same thing.
Yeah. Bitcoin providing future boners
to Peter Schiff. Thank you. All right. So, we're talking about a lot of regulatory stuff today. U.S. credit union regulator seeks industry input on decentralized finance and stablecoins. So, I mean, this is what we're talking about, right? Like the United States National Credit Union Administration's governing board approved Thursday a request for information that seeks to learn more from credit union industry about their views and positions on digital assets with significant focus on DeFi. So basically, I mean, now we're talking national level, getting advice from regulators on what they see happening here. So again, none of this shit is going anywhere, right? Like, it's just going to get more and more. And then, you're going to get this regulation. It's going to come, but it's like, so what, right? It's just going to be better for us in the long run, I think, but yeah, that's more. I don't want to go too much into it because there's a lot of stablecoin stuff, which we already kind of covered. So, but they're talking DeFi as well, and I mean that's a lot. That's good news from a infrastructure standpoint, I believe. But you got one more, and it's again buyer girl.
Buyer girl Yogita. This one is it has to do with Binance. Crypto exchange Binance US could go public. It says Binance CEO CZ Zhao. He says, quote, our partner in the US is looking at a potential IPO. He said that on Friday at the Redefine Tomorrow event organized by SCB 10X. I don't know what that is. The venture arm. Oh, here it is. Here, the venture arm of Thailand's oldest Siam commercial bank. So that's interesting. The IPO route, however, is not 100% fixed yet. He said after the Coinbase listing earlier this year on Nasdaq, the U.S. is now an ecosystem where crypto companies can go public, according to Zhao. Indeed, several U.S.-based crypto firms, including Gemini, Kraken, and Circle, are looking to do just that. As for Binance itself, Zhao said an IPO is not in the immediate plans, but that might change in the future. This is a notable change from what Zhao told the block earlier this year. At the time, he said Binance wants to take a more crypto native path, by expanding the utility of its utility token, BNB, instead of the traditional IPO. But now, before Binance itself could go for an IPO, it will need to change its company structure, said Zhao. Because most regulators want to see a headquarters and an office or a legal entity.
This says he's looking for a new Binance CEO with a very strong regulatory background.
Yeah, no kidding.
So I think that's the theme of today's show, man.
Yeah, regulators.
Regulatory gumbo.
But I don't know. To me, I might be wrong here and I might be way off. I just feel Binance has lost its juice over the last 12 months.
No way, dude. Remember that chart I showed you the other last show a couple of weeks ago? They have like 45% of the entire industry's volume, exchange volume.
Yeah, but I don't know. Is that legit volume? Like, I don't know.
Well, I
don't know.
So, but I don't know.
I don't know. It just I feel like. I might be.
Well, it's also maybe. Well, I guess you could still use it, but like, I don't know how many people use Binance US though. Like,
right.
So
I mean, I don't know how.
That's why it feels that way. But I mean, you in Canada can use Binance, but you choose FTX.
I don't. I do the FTX route, but I don't know. It just feels
# not an ad.
Not an ad. I just feel like there's always something kind of sketchy with Binance that a couple years ago was not necessarily the case, and then I'd say just over the last 12 months it's just like they're always like we're going to need to restructure in order to hit the guidelines for these types of regulators. We need a CEO with regulatory background. Earlier, like they said earlier this year, we wanted to do something more with BNB, but obviously the price of BNB is dropped since then, so maybe it's what I mean. Like maybe he was hoping it was going to be a straight shot to the moon with BNB. Now it's not necessarily the case. Now we need to pivot and get an IPO. I don't know. Just talking out loud. I just the more and more I think about it, I'm not a huge fan.
I don't think you're like crazy wrong. I mean, it's not. I don't think you're totally far off there. I feel like a lot of people think that about Binance.
Yeah, right. I don't watch enough feedback.
I mean, CZ's not like Justin's son. Like,
no, exactly. But I mean, not far off. Maybe like maybe that's like a better version of Justin. But I
think I'd rather party with Justin's son though.
All day long. All day long. Oh, for sure. More so than CZ, for sure.
Yeah.
Justin would be...
But CZ's way richer, though.
Yeah, but probably Justin's... He's doing all right for himself, I'm sure. But do you remember those... Remember when we used to have those conversations?
I wonder what that $4 million lunch with Warren Buffett was like.
That was Justin's son that paid for that one, right? Not CZ.
I don't actually think it ever happened.
I don't think so either. It was
like canceled or something.
I occasionally think about the parties. Remember when RIP Mr. McAfee. But those parties that we'd hear about that John was at with some of the crypto people,
yeah,
man, those sounded like a good time. So whoever was at those parties, I'd like to party with.
Yeah, I mean, I'm yes, agreed.
Oh, and speaking of John, our video that we did, our interview that we did with Mr. and Mrs. McAfee, I don't know, like a year ago or more. Like it's got like 5K views now. Like
we popped off right after because of his
100%. Yeah, like we have you can listen to our show on YouTube. But it's typically just the audio and with like a little, static background. But with the second John interview, we recorded the video. And I think when we first, up to like prior to his passing, it may have had like 150 views type of thing. And then I checked the other day because I was getting all these comments. I'm like, what the hell's going on? Yeah, I think it was just under like 5,000 views, I think.
Wow.
So, yeah, Jeez. Crazy, right?
Awesome. Now direct that but just throw it on the dGEN YouTube now.
Yeah, maybe I will. That's not a bad idea.
Probably should, and then just see if we could direct people there. All right, are we landing this bird?
Yeah, I think so.
All right, this was a fun one. We had so much nice, fun, personal news, and I think we did a decent job at crypto also, maybe. I don't know. But that is going to do it for us until next week. Don't get wrecked, and that is financial advice.
Hey everybody, thanks for listening. You can help support us by giving us a 5-star review on Apple Podcasts and become a REKT patron by signing up for a monthly tier on patreon.com. That's patreon.com/REKT podcast. Don't get wrecked.